Well, good morning, everyone. Thomas Montgomery. It's a beautiful Thursday morning. Today is January 8th, 2026. We get together most weekday mornings at 8 o'clock Central. As shared on the screen here, we can see that we're having our daily Zoom, and our website is displayed here in the background, 509pacific.org. And it's an important resource site. When we applied for and received the grant, the goal was to make it easy for people to be able to participate and receive the benefits of the grant. There's really three elements that's available. At the top is the Quick Cash. The Quick Cash is an innovative way that entrepreneurs can get an almost immediate injection of assets without having to take on debt. Now, truthfully, most of our grant participants come to us and they want debt. They want lots and lots of debt, but not everyone does. Or in some cases, people want debt, but they don't have the collateral needed for the debt. So, of course, we can transfer collateral. So, that in brief is Quick Cash, but there is an on demand training. The second resource that is available through the grant is specifically getting an entity, a fundable, compliant business entity into the hands of the entrepreneur. Now, again, I know, a lot of people already have a business, and that's fine, but there's also a lot of people that don't have a compliant business that's ready for funding. So, through the grant, we give away the free shelf corps. It's packaged in with also an allocation of assets, kind of similar to Quick Cash. But where Quick Cash are the assets alone, here we're doing a transference of assets plus the entity. And as described towards the middle, we provide a business entity that's in good standing to them. It comes turnkey with a business plan. Now, the business plan's written and ready to go to funding. However, we can certainly edit and adjust it if the client, the grant participant wants us to. Also comes with the detailed 36-month financial projections ready to go. But again, we can edit that, modify that based upon the grant participant's wants, needs, wishes. Includes a unique commercial address for the lifetime of the business. It's free. All they'll pay is just for the mail forwarding. And then, as I mentioned, it comes with collateral. So that's the second of the three propositions. And this helps a lot of people that want funding, but they want business funding, but they don't have a fundable business infrastructure. And then, as we rolled out recently for any participants that do not have a social security number, we have a specialized niche approach for those individuals, and that's called the IEP. We had a recent training on it, and there's a link to that here. So, three resources: the Quick Cash, the free shelf corp, and then our really go to is the free funding proposal, because there's a lot of entrepreneurs in the marketplace. They want and need money to start or grow, to reach their potential. We wanted to make it very, very simple for them to be able to get funding. So, with that, they can come to our website here, click, simple one-page app. There's no minimum credit scores, and everyone gets at least one offer. Of course, a lot of people get multiple offers. Absolutely no upfront cost, no hard inquiries to get the offers. Even if they don't have a business, they can still get offers. Or if they do have a business, there's not a minimum time in business. Startups can qualify. The we call this the first tranche. The amount of funding they get will vary based upon their application, but we frequently see people get offered six figures to mid six figures, 100,000 or more, just from that first tranche. They're not locked in. They get the offers they want. They can accept those that they want. They can accept multiple offers. We call those stacking, but they don't have to. And then for those individuals that come in, and I mentioned that there's no minimum credit score. That's a true statement. Everyone will get at least one offer. But we do sometimes see people come in and they have some personal credit issues. Now, our goal is to get business funding, based on the business credit profile, which is part of what we do and build out for them. But if personal credit is an issue, no worries. We have free resources to help them with that. And then there are a number of resources here at the bottom of the page, success stories, explanation of the process, introduction to some of our key lender partners to get the funding proposal. If you wanted to become an affiliate, a distribution partner here, one of the elements of the grant is that, well, what makes this work, what makes this not too good to be true, is that we provide the recipe and the ingredients to have a fundable business. So the analogy we often talk about is making chocolate chip cookies, right? Is it too good to be true that you and I can make some chocolate chip cookies? Well, no, if we have a recipe to follow and we have the ingredients, and a heat source, of course, we should be able to make cookies. Is it unrealistic? Is it unbelievable that anyone can get a large capital raise? No, not if they follow the recipe, what we call the formula for funding. And then also we have the ingredients. Well, what's involved with the formula for funding? Well, we certainly need to have a business entity as an infrastructure. Either they already have that, or if not, they can come over and get one of the free shelf corps. And then it comes down to the loan packaging, how the business looks on paper, which is most easily described as the three C's. How does the business credit look? How does the business collateral look? How does the business capacity, which is known as cash flow? Well, speaking of the Opportunity Fund, we see some businesses that and business owners that just they're really insolvent. They don't have any money. Of course, you could say, well, that's why they're trying to take on debt, but sometimes it can be difficult to take on debt when we're insolvent. So, two ways to overcome that. One way is to have financial projections to show what our cash flow, our capacity would be after funding. So, that certainly helps a lot. And the second is we can actually, which is the point right now, we can actually put daily deposits into the grant participants account. It's not debt, doesn't have to be paid back, and that's the Opportunity Fund. So, with that being said, the website certainly is important. We have a tech support line, and we put our most of our trainings up on YouTube for later viewing. Our 501c3 nonprofit has three mandates, one of which is to improve financial literacy. And it's very relevant. We're not just doing general education, but it's much of what you and I just discussed. There is a formula for funding. A lot of people don't know that. I know you all do. There's 531 of you on right now. You all know the formula for funding. I think we covered it just yesterday or the day before. It's E plus the three C's equals a fundable business. But a lot of people don't know what you and I know, so that's their first problem, right? They want chocolate chip cookies, but they don't even know the recipe. And furthermore, most of them, even if they knew the recipe, they don't have the ingredients. So that's where we come in. And those of you that want to be an affiliate, we can help those individuals have the recipe, which is common knowledge, and then the ingredients. Second mandate is to provide those free shelf corps, which was here. And then the third is to get funding, which is here. So that kind of all fits together. Our topic today is going to be one that's more audience participation and driven. So I'd like each of you to take a moment and go ahead and type into the Q&A. It's like a chat box of Zoom. What is your advice to others on how to make money? Now, I know that's a general, broad question, not much context, but I want to start with that because we've got a lot of very, very successful people on here. We've got Eduardo, a Corinthian, again, hundreds of people, Harley, Mr. Certain. What would be in one sentence your recommendation, your advice to others if you were to advise them on how to make money? Because if we're entrepreneurs, no matter what industry we're in, no matter what good or service we sell or want to sell, making money is crucial, right? A business without income, without money is going to go out of business. It'll cease to exist. Now, maybe there's reasons it's not making money yet, but I'm looking for input from each of you in one sentence or phrase, like Kenneth just gave, doesn't have to be a full sentence. What's your advice on how to make money? Because again, an entrepreneur that does not make money is broken, right? That's not sustainable. So Christopher brings up a great point, and I didn't necessarily anticipate that, but Christopher did a great job. His response is help people solve their problems. And that's very insightful, right? Because that's what successful businesses do. They solve other people's problems. Because in a business transaction, no matter what you're selling, if you're a doctor, a dentist, or a prostitute, you are offering some good or service, and what you're proposing is that it's more valuable to the client than the money that they're paying for it. So we definitely, I love that, Christopher. We definitely need to have a mindset, in my opinion, and Christopher's and probably yours as well. We have to go find a problem to solve. Because if you're not solving someone else's problem, they're probably not going to pay you anything. And if you're not getting paid anything, you're probably not going to last, right? That you're an unneeded business. You'd be better off to close and go do something else. So that's very good. Okay, so we're looking for other comments, other advice. Let's say that you're all up on a stage and you're in front of a group of young entrepreneurs at your local community college, and they ask you, John or Corinthian or Eduardo, if you could just give one statement to this audience of these young entrepreneurs, what's your number one piece of advice on how to make money? So this was Christopher's, which I think we would all agree with that. All right, Eduardo has a little bit of a different response. His is be an owner of a successful, if I could type better, business. So that's interesting. So let's think about what Eduardo means. Well, first of which, he's suggesting that being an entrepreneur is probably the best way, the most certain way of creating a large income. Because if your mindset is, I just want a job, I want a job, I want to be a W-2 or 1099 employee, then you're probably not going to generate a lot of wealth because whatever someone else is paying you reduces their profit. So the first part of Eduardo's point is consider entrepreneurship. So I would agree with you there, Eduardo. And the second one's very complicated. Be an owner of a successful business. Well, yeah, that sounds good, but what do we need to do to have a successful business? So we might have to break that down a little bit, right? Because there's more to it than just saying, "Hey, own a successful business." So what does it take to have a successful business? Well, it goes back to Christopher's point. We need to solve other people's problems. We need to generate a profit, and we need to have proper capitalization. And I think that's exactly what he was getting to. A lot of folks, they have a dream, a vision, an image of what they want to be doing to own a successful business. But a lot of these folks, they don't know what you know. They don't know the formula for funding. They don't have the ingredients. They don't have the capital. Just cut to the chase. So that's a big part of what you and I do, those of you that are affiliates, is we help people have proper capitalization. And so, just as we talked about, that starts with making sure they have either a shelf corp from us or they already have a business entity that provides a good foundation. And then we need to get them capital. So I think that's very insightful. There's a lot of people that want money and need money, but they don't have the recipe, the formula, and they don't have the ingredients. And that's where you and I can go solve that, right? All you're asking them to do, assuming you're an affiliate, is ask them to get a free funding proposal. From that, through the grant, they're guaranteed a minimum of 100,000 capital raise. So you know they're going to get, and most people want more and get more, but we can guarantee them capital, and from your perspective as an affiliate, you're making 5%. So, with that being said, and there's a lot of other responses, so I'm not dismissing any of them. Do you all feel that you're earning the money that you want to make, or are you? So let's stop talking to the audience and let's look in the mirror for a second. Do each of you confidently feel that you're earning the money that you want to make, that you need to make, that's your potential? A quick yes or no on that. And again, I'm assuming most of you are affiliates with us, so that is insightful for us. Are we delivering? Earlier this week, we talked about how important it is to have a sales funnel and how we can provide you a sales funnel. And then yesterday, we really broke down how to present to the prospect where they almost feel stupid to not participate. I'm not insulting them. It's just if you explain it correctly and they do have a problem, they need money to start or grow a business. If you go back and watch yesterday's training, if you missed it, I think you can close 9 out of 10 people that you have a conversation with. And if you don't have anyone to have a conversation with, go back 2 days ago to our training, and we literally went through how to build a sales funnel. So that's a little bit my concern. We've got some really big hitters here that participate in the trainings. Mr. Stockton and Cameron and Lamy and Mr. Burwell. So again, I know we've got a bunch of the haves, but I'm concerned for those of you that are not maybe taking your own advice, right? Because here we are in January, and it's great to be in a new year, and we have the opportunity to say, what are we going to do different this year than last year? So we need a plan, and it's up to you what your plan is. There's lots of different ways to make money. But we definitely need to go solve someone's problems. And we definitely need to have proper capitalization because there's so many businesses that fail, not because of the idea, not because of the leadership. They just don't have the money to make it happen. And if you start asking questions to others, I think you're going to find there's a lot of people that would answer yes to this. And so it's not a complicated discussion to say, hey, let us get you a free funding proposal. We guarantee you a minimum of 100,000 and then all these highlights that we've discussed. We provide all of you a landing page. So you all should have your landing page. If anyone doesn't, go ahead and maybe comment here briefly in the Q&A, but everyone should have their landing page. We have a great comp plan, I think. Maybe some of you don't think so, but it's designed, and we can bring that up. So the affiliate proposition is what? It's to help others get capital with no upfront cost. So that's a pretty good start. Oh, just does exited out of that. And then furthermore, it's not Ponzi, it's not MLM, it's not network marketing. There's no cost to you to be an affiliate. So your prospects don't have to pay anything to get a funding proposal. You don't have to pay anything to become an affiliate. And then from a comp plan, it's designed to generate $100,000 per month. Now, when we talk about, and we'll say that's the anticipated amount, which is assuming you're helping one person a day, because most of you are busy doing other things. You're not going to do this full time. So, for some of you, an extra 100,000 a month just doesn't make a big deal. Some of you, A, aren't motivated by money, and others of you, 100,000 extra income's not, I guess, enough. Otherwise, you would be doing more of this. But if you can go out and help others, you don't have to pay anything. So it's not like you got to go sacrifice your own capital to to launch this relationship, this endeavor. And specifically, we can be specific. You make 5% of each referred client's capital raise. And again, I know you take Lamy, an extra 5%, which is a minimum of 5,000. The average capital raise now is closer to 1 million, so it's normally around 50,000 per referral. To people like Lamy, 50,000, But for the average person, a lot of people, they don't make 50,000 in a month. And you should be able to make 50,000 by referring one client in based upon the comp plan. So, what is it that we kind of wrapping up today? What is it that we need to do for those of you? We have almost 600 of you on today. Most of you are affiliates, not all. What do we need to do to help those of you that want to earn more money? Because our topic today is what's your advice to other people? And we've heard a lot of great insight, but ultimately, what is it that we need to do for you? For you, Harley? What do we need to do for you, Rod? What do we need to do for you, Joe, to help each of you make more money? Because our proposition is almost unbeatable, right? We're going to help other people and they don't have to pay anything. You don't have to pay anything to become an affiliate. It's designed to make 100,000 a month, which I know is not going to wow Rod Francis. It's not going to wow some of you, but it's a good side income. And that's specifically based on making 5% of each referred person's capital raise. And that's not smoke and mirror. If you come over here and click to become an affiliate, it'll bring it up and we can scroll all the way down. And it says you're going to make 50% of the performance fees that we make. Well, we charge 10% and thus you make 5%. So we're not exaggerating, but it's very rare that you'll find a business that's completely passive. Now, if you went and bought an apartment complex and hired a property management company, I guess all you'd be left with doing is just cashing the checks. But other than a fully passive business, normally there's some involvement, some involvement. And so with involvement, we're trying to keep it as simple as possible. Now, Rod says he doesn't have his landing page, but Rod, I can bet you that you do have your landing page because anyone that has come over and requested to be an affiliate, which we just were showing the agreement, which doesn't cost anything, we send you an onboarding email and it has your landing page in it. And if you don't have that, then go ahead and text us immediately after the Zoom, or now we'll respond afterwards and we'll resend you your onboarding email. But everybody's provided a link from the get-go to be able to start doing business. So Rod, if you think that you don't, if the only reason, Rod, you're not thinking that you're going to make 100,000 in January is that we've not provided your landing page, my goal is not to prove you wrong, but I'll prove you wrong. Everyone has it. And even if you don't know what it is, here, I'll show you the cheat code. Go to fundingproposal.org. It comes over here, and this is the generic landing page that everyone starts with. You put in the prospect's first name, last name, mobile, email, and referred by you. Once you submit your first deal through, when you get your first commission payout, then we know you're for real, and we'll go ahead and develop your own landing page so you'll have your own link. But until then, literally, you're using this link, funding proposal. So, Rod, I guess I can fix it right now. If you go to fundingproposal.org, that is everyone's link initially. It's a general landing page, so you do have to list referred by. But do that once, bring one person in, and then, of course, you get commissions off the first one as well. Then we'll develop your own that's linked to you. So, Rod, you now have your landing page, don't you? Everyone has a landing page. It's fundingproposal.org. It forwards to this. Show us that you can generate at least one client. We pay you the commissions, 5%, and then at that point, we'll go ahead and develop a unique landing page for you. Everybody, not talking about Rod, but everyone, I want my own unique landing page. Well, we're not charging anything. And a lot of people aren't like you, Rod. A lot of people aren't like many of you. A lot of people just want free shit, but they're not going to do anything with it. Well, that's a horrible use of our time, effort, and resources. So our proposition is free to be an affiliate, get paid from the get-go, no upfront cost. You're to submit your first deal through the general landing page, which anyone can access, just like I've done it 3 times today, fundingproposal.org. Yes, they do need to list your name on the first one. I know that's not perfect, but once you've done one, and it could be you as a client as well, which is not the goal, but it could be you as the client as well as the affiliate or someone else. Once you get your first commission check, then bam, we know you're competent. We know you have at least some level of commitment and competency. So then we'll develop your own landing page. So again, I want to close by asking each of you, because I think it's easier for a lot of us to give other people advice rather than to look in the mirror and give ourselves advice. I mean, are you on track for 100,000 month in January? And again, people that have not made much money, they think, oh, that's too good to be true, or would have to be human trafficking to make 100,000. That's not true. That's a normal threshold for a successful entrepreneur. Now, I'm not saying all that's profit. Normally, you'll have some expenses, but the bottom line is that's a very attainable threshold, 100,000. That shows that you're a competent entrepreneur, and regardless of what other things that you want to do, you could add one revenue stream. It's not unusual for people to have multiple revenue streams, and so we could go back and add that. And I think that was something that Solji said earlier. I didn't capture it. Have multiple revenue streams. Pretty much any financial advisor or financial expert would say you want to diversify. We're not asking you to quit your goals, your dreams, your full-time endeavor to be an affiliate. We're just saying, hey, add one new revenue stream in January of 2026. Be an affiliate. Doesn't cost you a penny. We will work together. We should definitely get you a good payout for the month with no investment. But it does require two things. It requires leads, and we taught you how to get that earlier this week with developing a sales funnel, which we can do for you. You can do for yourself. Training's there. And then literally just yesterday, we walked you through the proposition where you should be able to close 9 out of 10 or more. So, is there anything else that any of you need from us? We've diffused the excuse that Rod had. No offense, Rod, but you don't have a landing page, so you can't make money. No, you all have your landing page, your temporary one, and then your permanent one once you've done a deal. What else is it that you need? We've shown you how to develop a sales funnel. We've offered to develop a sales funnel for you. That was 2 days ago. It's up on training. Yesterday, we walked you through how to present it in such a way that you should close 9 out of 10 people. Probably more than that, closer to 10 out of 10. What else is it that you need? Mr. Barker, you mentioned last week that you're going to bring on like 10 people, and I may be mistaken, but I don't think you've done so. So, Mr. Barker, let's use a case study here in our last 3 minutes. Mr. Barker, what do we need to do to help you make at least $50,000 this week? And that math is the clients are guaranteed a minimum of 100,000 capital raise. You're guaranteed 5% of that. So it's 5,000 apiece. Mr. Barker said that he had 10 prospects, if I recall, to refer in. So Mr. Barker should make at least 50,000 this week. But you've not at least through us. So Mr. Barker, what do we need to do to get you your 50,000, or anyone else? What do we need to do for each of you to make sure that this new revenue stream is profitable for you? If you have the sales funnel, if you don't have a sales funnel, we can build one for you. We've shown you how to do that 2 days ago. We showed you how to present it to close nearly everyone. So I would argue, and I think that's kind of what Pauline is stating, it's kind of on you at some point. You have the recipe to make money. You have the ingredients to make money. Now it's just time for you to use that recipe, mix those ingredients. It's kind of on you. But if there's something we can do, let us know. Our text support line's 903-347-8042, and we'll be back tomorrow morning. Thanks, everyone. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.